What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today is one day away before the Nintendo Switch 2. We have some new information, and this is going to be the final compilation of everything that we may see tomorrow and the 2 days after that. I did a clap because I think they're going to change the Switch thing because it's not, the Joy-Cons don't go like that anymore. Instead, they go like that. So tomorrow is the Direct for the Nintendo Switch 2. And then new information from Nintendo is that the following 2 days is going to be a Nintendo Treehouse.
That is, if this is not just a very soul-crushing April Fool's Day prank.
Some of you may not remember what a Nintendo Treehouse is because it's been so long since we had it. Back when E3, the Electronics Entertainment Expo, was still a thing, Nintendo would be there, they'd show their Direct, and then they would have a Treehouse where they show off the games that they just showed off in the Direct, except it was a hands-on preview and you got to see real people, employees of Nintendo, actually play it. And it was a fantastic way for them to spend a lot more time showing off the new features of these games. And honestly, I don't think there's a better way that they can show off a brand new plethora of information. Let's start with the system. First of all, the price is going to be somewhere between $300 and $400. The right Joy-Con, which we don't know if it's going to be called a Joy-Con, has that IR functionality. It operates like an optical mouse, like for a PC. PC gaming is on the rise. Ever since the Nintendo Switch launched, the concept of having your same game with you on the go and at home has been skyrocketing. The Steam Deck bring all of the Steam library to handheld, which for a lot of people is their entry level to PC gaming, priced at only $400 to get into it. It's the cheapest gaming PC you're gonna get that's going to run games great. And now we see the ROG Ally, and now we see Valve also releasing the SteamOS for other consoles, and Xbox talking about them wanting to do it in the future. Xbox sales are horrible in Japan, and this is a well-known fact. So the fact that you're going to have the optical sensor on one of your Joy-Cons means that you're going to have some extent mouse functionality, which is fantastic. I got so excited when they announced that Civilization was going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch, and then I played it and it was the worst experience ever. Coming from someone who plays keyboard and mouse, to have to use the right stick to select things. And I'm sure developers don't enjoy that either. They have to water down the experience and they have to adapt it to only be a controller. Being able to have that built-in mouse functionality means that games that are point and click, like first of all the point and click games, but all the Steam games like Civilization, my favorite game of all time, Factorio, even the Roller Coaster Tycoon, I think 2 remake that just came out, all of these things that could benefit so much more from mouse functionality can have it now. And I think that's going to be massive. And since we know the Nintendo Switch 2 is backwards compatible, all of the Nintendo Switch 1 games like Civilization, Factorio, Roller Coaster Tycoon, all of that I just mentioned, that have that, if they could just push a software update so that on the Switch 2, it has mouse functionality, that's amazing. Now here's the big part. Ready? If it handles the right Joy-Con as an optical sensor on a hardware level, what is stopping them from literally just letting you plug in a mouse? If Nintendo doesn't make it so that you can use a third-party mouse, I know that there's going to be a third-party company who's going to make a little dongle that's going to do that, and it's going to appear to the system as a Joy-Con, and you're going to be able to use a hardware mouse. It's going to happen 102%, okay? Either it's going to be supported and Nintendo's not going to talk about it, or they are going to talk about it, less likely. I mean, it's likely if they actually release a Nintendo mouse, but, you know, they haven't done that since what? Since Mario Paint. I think that is going to be a huge opportunity for games going forward and the ecosystem of the Nintendo Switch to have a larger market presence for third-party games to increase their revenue of games being sold through the eShop. One of my favorite games of all time. All of the top-selling games on the Nintendo Switch 1 are released by the Pokemon Company Nintendo or Nintendo. Number 24 is Monster Hunter, and number 25 is Concerned Apes Stardew Valley. That's right, the indie game Stardew Valley is the second highest selling game on the Nintendo Switch not made by Nintendo. And that's insane. I love Stardew Valley on the PC and being able to play it on the go with mouse functionality, like you can reach the thing in the corner instead of just above and to the side. It's going to be a game changer. I'm very excited. It's my favorite cozy game of all time. 7.9 million copies. Wow. Yeah, we're going to talk about that list a lot more. Back to the concept of hardware, the C button, which it's been revealed unofficially in their actual Nintendo Today app that had a picture of the Nintendo Switch 2 box. It has the C on top of the C button. It's believed as of right now that that internal codename is called Campus. And there's a few things that Campus can be. It can be how you're going to operate your Nintendo Switch's voice chat capabilities, which, golly, it needs voice chat. The Nintendo Switch Online app is the worst experience ever, especially using the physical hardware mixer for headphones. Garbage, hot garbage. I'm from New Jersey. We call that hot garbage. That is the definition of hot garbage, just like 1-2 Switch, but more about them later. Campus may also be a way that the Nintendo Switch is able to interact with another Nintendo Switch. And I can't stop thinking about the USB-C port at the top. Is Nintendo going to release a second screen accessory? Because the bottom screen is already there, and supposedly it's touchscreen, just like the Nintendo Switch 1. So what's stopping them from doing DS games with a second top screen that maybe folds flat like a clamshell? That'd be amazing. Now I'm getting very speculative. The C button, the Campus button, what Campus is, the voice chat functionality, friends list. Golly, I hope there's achievements, but that's a dream. There's nothing pointing to them actually doing that. And speaking of the Joy-Cons, we also have the question on Amiibo functionality. Are they still supporting Amiibo? Are they still making money on Amiibo? Are they still doing it? Because they're still printing them. I was just at Nintendo New York yesterday and they restocked a bunch of the Smash Amiibos, so they still exist. Maybe they're gonna expand on the NFC capabilities that they've only been using for Amiibo. They're also most likely going to be talking about internal storage and external storage. We saw on the back underneath the kickstand, there's going to be a very similar SD card slot that we're used to already. Maybe it's going to support higher speed SD cards. Maybe the system is going to load faster, which brings us into the system. The Nintendo Switch system and operating system needs to be better than it was on the first Switch. Are we finally going to see themes? When we hover over a game, are we going to get music like we did back on the Wii to give all those little icons personality? Are we going to be able to put them into folders? Is there going to be some sort of sorting system? All of these things would be so great to have rather than just the default order of most recently played. Yes, there's the view all button at the end, but that's not convenient. The eShop needs to be so much better. The eShop just brings you to a web page that takes forever to load. It's impossible to filter and sort through games to find things that you want, which is the reason that people just started making their games free or down to 99 cents so that they would actually show up on one of those charts. Having a proper sorting and filtering system is mandatory because of how extensive the library already is for the Switch 1 and will be for the Switch 2. That has to change. It has to. Has to. Game Boost. They're gonna use some sort of fun, catchy term, and they're gonna call it a very Nintendo-y term, for the reason that your Nintendo Switch games look better on the Nintendo Switch 2. And whether that's just going to be handled natively, or if the developers and publishers actually need to push a patch for the new version, the game is going to run and function better. Whether it's games going from 30 FPS to 60 FPS, or the game's going from 1080 to 4K, all of these features are not yet confirmed. But there's going to be a reason that they run better, and there's going to be a name for it. It's a very Nintendo thing to do, you know it is. And there's a very good chance that they're gonna showcase that with Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. So they'll have Tears of the Kingdom running on the Switch 2, maybe at 4K, maybe at 60 FPS. I personally believe that Nintendo would rather have the games run at 60 FPS instead of 4K. Because Nintendo's core philosophy and belief system is fun, is the experience. Is seeing better pixels gonna make it a better experience? Or the game looking and feeling smoother? I think it's gonna be running smoother, so shooting for 60 FPS in Game Boost mode or whatever they're gonna call it, That's going to be their objective. They're going to use an old game to showcase that. We also need to talk about Nintendo Switch Online, because that's going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. All of the classic games that you know, love, and enjoy on the Switch are going to be playable on the Switch 2. 100%. Austin's crackpot theory on having the second screen plug in with that USB-C, then you being able to use DS games. Listen, don't listen to Austin when he talks about that, okay? That's just him hoping and dreaming about everything. Heck, since it plugs in, it could be a stereoscopic 3D screen, and you could have 3DS games too, or just 3DS games not running in 3D. But okay, enough of that. The Nintendo Music app has been getting a lot of updates they've been posting on their Twitter account, and there's a chance that the Nintendo Music app may come to the Nintendo Switch. Now, they already experimented with this. Super Smash Bros., you being able to play all of the in-game music, and then you plug in your headphones or you use Bluetooth headphones, so if you want to listen to game music while you walk around, you could, acting like phones don't exist. It's a very, very Nintendo thing to do. They may bring the Nintendo Music app to the Nintendo Switch, to the Switch 2. And if they did, I think they should definitely have a set as homepage song or a playlist to play on the homepage, something like that. Know what I mean? And the perfect segue from systems to games is pack-in title. I really think Nintendo needs a pack-in title. For them to sell the Nintendo Switch 2 and sell you on the Nintendo Switch 2, it needs to differentiate itself from the Nintendo Switch other than it plays games better. Granted, we're hardcore sweaty gamers, it plays games better, we're gonna buy it. That's not who they have to sell for. They have to sell for the general consumer, the other people of the 150 million units that they have to sell. And 1-2 Switch is for $60 is not the way to do it. Wii Sports. Wii Sports is the best-selling Nintendo Wii game because it never sold, it was just included, right? If they had a Wii Sports-like game for the Switch 2, that would be massive for people to see one out in the real world and see what this pack-in title is and have features that are only possible on the Switch 2. That is what could get a general consumer to convert to buying a Switch 2. I really think that they need a pack-in title. And I think that that pack-in title is going to be showed off during the Nintendo Treehouse. You're not going to have like the weird 1-2 Switch trailers where it's like, we're at a rooftop party. Hey, let's stand 4 feet apart and draw our imaginary Joy-Con guns. No, it's after pandemic happened. Everyone is in their home doing their own thing. And I think that's what campus is for, the C button. It's going to be intercommunication between systems. Hopefully, COVID and the pandemic changed Nintendo's thinking as to how we're going to be playing with each other. There's not going to be a lot of couch co-op. It's going to be a lot of we're playing online the same game and sharing the experience together. And I think that really goes to show with what they're doing with the digital Switch cartridges, how you can loan it to another system. You're most likely going to be able to loan a Switch 1 game to a Switch 2 person in your family plan, know what I mean? Here's a fun fact. Despite me being the most organized person I know, I don't know where my copy of Super Smash Bros. Is. It's somewhere, it's lost, so it's not in any of my game cartridge holders. It might be in like a case somewhere, I don't know. But I want to go over the games that we may see in Super Smash Bros. Order. Let's start at the top, Mario. It's been so long since we've had a 3D Mario game. We had Super Mario Odyssey and nothing after that. We had Wonder, which is a fantastic 2D game, but we're long overdue for a 3D Mario game, and that is a system seller. They are going to show us a 3D Mario game. I am very doubtful that is going to be an Odyssey or a Galaxy follow-up. I firmly believe as though they are going to be doing a new Mario game altogether that may or may not have extra functionality with the new Nintendo console. With the Joy-Cons, if they do something new or interesting with maybe the mouse functionality, who knows? There is going to be a 3D Mario game the first year of the Nintendo Switch. It is highly likely it's going to be shown off during the Nintendo Switch Presents. And my firm belief is that we're going to be having Mario Kart come out as a launch title, Mario Kart 9 that we saw with the 24 possible racers. and that in the later half of 2025, most likely October to not crowd Pokemon Legends EA, we're going to be having the new Mario 3D game. Maybe early December, but I feel like October or November is when they would release that because they want that to sell units. We may see some of that during the Treehouse. The game has been done for a while. Mario Kart, though, the fact that they had so many starting positions on that course infers that there's going to be 24-player races. So with 24-player races, they have to do something to the core gameplay experience of Mario Kart, because you can't have 24 racers constantly using items, because that would be chaos and every match would feel like Baby Park. And that's not a fun experience. There has to be a core concept change, and I feel as though that's going to be shown off in the Direct and the Treehouse as well. There has to be something to differentiate themselves from the previous Mario Karts. Like we had, hey, this one has 2 racers, and then this one also has motorcycles, and tilt controls. And this one lets you go in 0G, so we can make the courses more interesting. What is the shtick of Mario Kart 9? Donkey Kong. There's been like a whole bunch of Donkey Kong like hype and buzz about re-releasing the old games recently. They have to sell somewhat good enough for them to keep doing this. Are we getting a new Donkey Kong game? It has been, I don't know if we've had a 3D Donkey Kong game since the N64. Is Donkey Kong just never going to be in 3D again? I'm done talking about Donkey Kong. We're talking about number 3, Link. In addition to seeing Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom being used as an example piece for game boost mode, or however backwards compatible games are going to work, function possibly better on the Switch 2, that also raises the question on what new Zelda entry we're going to see. And here's the thing, if they're going to use Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom as an example of how gameplay runs better, I highly doubt we would see a 3D Zelda game appear, because they wouldn't do it because they would want to avoid confusing consumers. And maybe we are getting a 3D Zelda game. If so, is it going to be announced during the summer or at a Nintendo Direct later this year? It just seems really clogged to also put that so early. Plus, why would you showcase a new 3D Zelda game when you're showing off a new 3D Mario game? You don't need a 3D Zelda and a 3D Mario for holiday. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. A 2D Zelda game, we just had Echoes of Wisdom, 3.91 million units. That's actually higher than I thought. The 39th best-selling game on the Nintendo Switch. Look at that. Maybe we'll have another 2D Zelda. They are continuing the tradition of 3D Zeldas and 2D Zeldas, except instead of being on the home console and the mobile console, they're just now all on one console. Maybe we'll have another 2D, but now it really feels like the time we would have a spin-off Zelda, like Hyrule Warriors, Cadence of Hyrule, something like that, because I'm talking about 2019 here, or 2020 or 21. I think it was Miyamoto-san. He said that he wanted a Zelda game to release every year. And not just talking about like a core Zelda experience. Let's see if that holds true. I personally hope it does. Zelda guy kind of hopes it does. By the way, the replica Zelda sword that's sold in Japan and Nintendo New York, if you have the opportunity to buy that, don't. It's very light and plastic, and it plays songs from the game, and there's no accelerometer for making sword sounds. You have to press a button to make sword sounds, and the stand is cheap plastic. It's not a good, I mean, it's a great replica. It's not a good thing to hold. It looks great on a shelf or on a wall. So if that's where it's gonna live forever, maybe. Samus. We already saw Metroid. Maybe they'll use Metroid as the example on how Switch games run better, but it raises the question if they're going to really push Metroid as a Switch 1 game or as a cross game, or use that as an example. That might be a great game to showcase the differences with Game Boost mode, if they've already made that Game Boost version of the game. Know what I mean? Yoshi, we haven't had a Yoshi game since, what was it, Woolly World? An early Switch game? So we may have Yoshi, or number 6, Kirby, coming out with another 2D or 3D game. Kirby and the Forgotten World was an amazing selling Kirby game. Forgotten Land sold 7.52 million units and is the 26th best-selling game on the Switch. Yoshi and Kirby could be making an appearance. Less likely than that, we would have Star Fox coming through with something. Pokemon Legends Z8 is confirmed to be a Nintendo Switch 1 game. Maybe they'll use that to show the boost mode. It's the only 2 games that we know are coming for the Switch and not the Switch 2 from Nintendo. Luigi's Mansion, it feels way too early in the life cycle to throw a Luigi's Mansion at us. Also way too early for them to throw a Mario Sport game at us, especially if they're giving us Mario Kart 9 and possibly also a 3D Mario. NES, Earthbound, Mother 3, not happening. Or it is happening. F-Zero, would you show off F-Zero with Mario Kart? Maybe it has an F-Zero mode. Jigglypuff is kind of included in Legend ZA. Did the Peach game sell well? My cousin played it. She said she had a great time. 1.3 million units, 80th best game. Right around WarioWare and Bayonetta 1 and 2. Maybe they'll continue something with that, but I feel like it's too early in the life cycle. You don't want to hit us with these, low selling games on the direct. Know what I mean? I'm not even going to talk about Ice Climbers. Sheik's included with Zelda. Zelda is included with Zelda. Marth, one of the 9 characters from Fire Emblem, may have a Fire Emblem game to appease the Fire Emblem people. Did Fire Emblem sell well? 36th. Actually sold right behind Skyward Sword. Mario Tennis Aces, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze actually sold a lot better than I thought it did. And sold better than Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and that makes sense. Might be time for a Fire Emblem? Definitely higher than like Luigi's Mansion and Peach's Showtime. Now that he's done with Smash Ultimate, maybe he's been spending that time, after Kirby, doing a Kid Icarus game. Kid Icarus could be a thing. There's time. It fits. It tracks. WarioWare might be a thing. Not a system seller. I forgot Snake was so high up in the list, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. I think that's all of the words of the name. I loved Metal Gear Solid 3. Freaking loved the game. Especially the fight with the sniper who dies if you just leave the system on for too long. So there's a large portion of third-party games that may be coming to the Nintendo Switch and may have representation either during the Direct or the Treehouse. Metal Gear Solid Delta may be one of them. Plus, if you actually show that game looking good on your console, I think that'll speak volumes. Sonic. We just had Sonic X Shadow Generations come out. By the way, thank you, Sega, for sending that over to me. I enjoyed the game. I doubt we would see it here. That really wouldn't make sense. Although I did play it on PS5 and seeing a beautiful version on the Switch 2 would be nice. Pikmin! Guys, let me tell you about Pikmin. My first time playing Pikmin was Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and I spent $60 for an 8-hour game, and I felt so salty about that experience, I then immediately traded in to GameStop for $22. I played Pikmin 4. Much better experience. I think it was like 30 hours. I really enjoyed the gameplay. I 100%ed it. It feels obtainable to 100% it without, really grinding hours in there. We may see Pikmin 5. Rob, Animal Crossing. Bro, Animal Crossing is the second best-selling game on the Nintendo Switch at 47 million units. Granted, it sold a life simulator when people couldn't have a life, so that might have something to do with it. But I feel like they abandoned it so GD fast. Would we have a new Animal Crossing coming out? There's demand for it. We haven't had an Animal Crossing update in forever. I'm not sharing my dream code to you now. We might have an Animal Crossing. That could show up at the Direct. That is a system seller. It's a cozy game, but it might be a system seller, especially with keyboard, with mouse functionality, you being able to actually select things easier instead of the I think that would make me enjoy Animal Crossing more. It's probably the reason I love Stardew more, because I could actually do things on a human time scale instead of a cozy time scale. Have they released a new Mega Man that isn't just re-releasing an old Mega Man in forever? Wii Fit Trainer, I feel like really falls into the whole concept of what I was talking about with the built-in titles, even though Wii Fit wasn't a built-in title. Rosalina, I said you're unlikely to make a return. We're more likely to be seeing a new Mario game. We just had the new Pac-Man game be announced. Not technically a Pac-Man game, but it's a Pac-Man game, so that's coming out for the Switch 1. Oh, Shulk. Xenoblade Chronicles, the 50th and 63rd and 64th best-selling games on the Switch with 2.7, 1.88, and 1.86 million units. Could be time for a new Xenoblade. But is it a system seller? Duck Hunt, Street Fighter or Tekken or Mortal Kombat not running like hot garbage may make an appearance, but I feel like third-party games are going to be a little bit more ambitious for this Direct. Speaking of more ambitious, number 61, Mr. Cloud Strife. Final Fantasy VII Remake very well could be on the Switch too. Very well. If it can run it, I guarantee it's going to be there. That might take up like a full half hour of the Treehouse, showing you how well it runs. It might be Remake, it might be Rebirth. Bayonetta, very unlikely. Splatoon, huge chance we will see Splatoon at this Direct. Because you now have mouse functionality built into the Nintendo Switch. You know who loves mouses? Disney, Pokemon, and first-person shooters. You being able to do Splatoon with optical mouse is going to be game-changing. Might make me play Splatoon again. Castlevania. Okay. And back up to the DLC fighters. Persona. Did we have a real Persona game on the Switch, or did we just get the watered-down Personas and the remakes? I don't think we had a real premier Persona game. Hang on, it did not break the top 100 best-selling games on the Switch. A port of the most recent Persona, maybe. Your Dragon Quest, right? Monsters, The Dark Prince, and 3 HD 2D Remake both break 1 million units and appear on the chart. Don't play with my heart like that. Banjo, coming to the Switch. Again, don't play with my heart. Give me the bear and bird combo. While we are on Banjo-Kazooie, I want to talk about Microsoft's lack of presence in Japan. They don't sell Xboxes in Japan. There's typically like 4 sold every month. That's not far off from the real numbers, okay? Microsoft having the option to have their intellectual properties on Nintendo consoles is huge. And it's weird that I'm looking at Banjo-Kazooie and I have to talk about Sea of Thieves and Fallout 4. Because you can't talk about Banjo-Kazooie without talking about Rare, which includes Sea of Thieves, and Rare is owned by Microsoft. So obviously we're gonna have Minecraft coming over. And with the huge success of the Fallout TV show, having Fallout 4 on the Nintendo Switch too, with the mouse functionality, might be a pretty good time. I mean, we had Skyrim as a launch title for the Switch 1. Fallout, they're already wearing blue and yellow. Why wouldn't he have Zelda-related things? No, I could imagine them doing something fun and quirky, like either an outfit that looks like Mario or Zelda, or a skin for a fat man that somehow looks like a Splatoon gun. They could do something like that. Or a Mario blaster from Mario Rabbids. You probably can't do that because Ubisoft. Something's gonna happen. Speaking of Ubisoft, we could definitely have Assassin's Creed. There have been so many of them. Either the newest one with the Japan stuff, or the previous one before people started hating that there was Japan things and a girl and a black guy. ARMS. Bro, ARMS was so forgotten about. Could we have an ARMS 2 and it have more substance? Or could ARMS 2 be a pack-in title or something? Do something with ARMS. Elevate ARMS instead of just here's a boxing match. We aren't in the same room together anymore. Do something, Nintendo, please. Minecraft on the Nintendo Switch just got an update, I think today or yesterday, tying in with the Minecraft movie. I see a very strong possibility you're going to see something Minecraft at this Nintendo Direct, just to bring it home that, hey, Minecraft movie's going to be a thing. Microsoft asked us to put this here. Here it is. Heck, we could have a whole Microsoft portion of this Direct. And that covers about everything except for Kingdom Hearts, which Kingdom Hearts fans just keep hoping and dreaming that 4 is going to be better than 3. Okay, Austin, what games did I not talk about? The Secret Playtest game. Do you guys remember the Secret Playtest that some people were invited for? I'm gonna have footage on screen now of the Secret Playtest that, because I wasn't a part of the Secret Playtest, this isn't my gameplay, so I'm not really breaking any rules or agreements that I didn't sign. But this is supposedly a game of working together to build things. And then there's also like side things and unique physics and this weird slingshot mechanic that I feel like this is a playtest of functionality that they're going to bake into a different game. This might be secretly the bare bones work for the 3D Mario game, or something else entirely, or a whole new IP that could be coming to the Switch 2 involving this. No idea. We have no idea what it was, no idea what it's going to be. Paper Mario? Unlikely. Super Paper Mario remake? Unlikely. I just love Paper Mario, so I had to talk about it. Because of how high that we saw Stardew Valley selling on the Nintendo Switch, there might be a universe in which we see Chocolatier, the Haunted Chocolatier, have some sort of gameplay here on the Nintendo Direct. That could be nice. I'm very interested on what Concern Ape has for us. Tetris is also an option, and now I'm getting into like just random things that we may see, including Tetris, Hades 2, I already talked about Banjo, Sea of Thieves, more ambitious games, Call of Duty, having Call of Duty on this to take market share away from the other two consoles, or a sport game that doesn't look horrible, like the 2K games, or FIFA, or something. Something that people play on their current system with voice chat, being able to play on this system with voice chat. If they are really using Campus for voice chat and interconnectivity, I think we could see a much larger presence in first-person shooters and sport games. What else? Elden Ring, Death Stranding, I talked about Assassin's Creed, Fallout 4, Doom the Dark Ages, May 2025. Very well could see that for the Switch 2. That falls right in line with something that they would show off. Yeah, it is. Grand Theft Auto 5 is something that might be on the Switch. It might be on the Switch. Listen, Rockstar makes fistfuls of cash from Grand Theft Auto. Why wouldn't they want it on Nintendo's console if it's planned to sell Nintendo Switch 1 numbers? I'm done. This recording session went on long enough. I feel like this is a one-person podcast. Thank you so much for being here to the Austin John podcast. Switch Direct 2 is tomorrow morning, like 17 hours from now. I'm very excited. I'm in a good headspace. I'm anxious for it. I'm ready. I haven't had anything to do for the last year and a half. If you made it this far in the video, leave an emoji as a comment. The emoji being element-based, either a rock or grass or fire, either earth, wind, fire, water. It has to be something element-based. Or a real comment. I'm not stopping you from doing that. I'm pretty sure the outro has been on my face for a while now, and if you fell asleep to this, then autoplay is going to be playing the next video right now.